Hello, my name is Peter Murray, and I'm the boys basketball coach at Dexter Regional High School and the president of the Maine Association of Basketball Coaches. The MABC, in conjunction with the Maine Principals Association and the Maine Basketball Commission, is again proud to bring you this rules interpretation video. Basketball season is a special time of year in Maine. Lifelong friendships are forged, life lessons are learned, and small-town traditions are continued. The Maine basketball season is an enriching experience for all who participate. It is important to remember that it takes many different groups working together to provide the traditional basketball experience we've come to expect during the winter season. School administrators, officials, the Maine Principals Association, the Maine Basketball Commission, and certainly coaches all play vital roles in making the basketball experience for our student athletes so special. As the new season is about to begin, it is important that all coaches throughout the state realize the significant role that they play within their schools and communities. Fans, parents, and certainly players look to their coach for leadership. As coaches, we must accept this responsibility and make sure that we do our part to provide a positive, memorable experience for everyone involved. The MABC is proud to work as partners with these other groups to ensure that our student athletes, their parents, and the fans that support them all have an exceptional and memorable experience this basketball season. I would encourage all coaches to visit the MABC website at mabc1.org for information about McDonald's All-Star Weekend and the many other offerings of your professional association. And finally, best of luck this season. I wish your team well and hope you share many special moments with your players and fans.
Hello, I'm Peter Webb, the Maine Principals Association State Basketball Commissioner, and on behalf of the Maine Principals Association, the MPA's Basketball Commission, and the MPA's Basketball Committee, welcome to the 2016-17 basketball season. This video clinic is offered to keep the coaches and athletic administrators informed of the NFHS rules changes, the points of emphasis, and to share some rules review. As has been for the past several years, there are very few rule changes. The states across the nation view the high school game of basketball and the current rules code as being in very good order. The rules changes for the 2016-17 season follows. The first one is a new rule, and it's regard to non-playing personnel, cheerleaders, media, photographers, and so forth, and a concern that is surfaced beyond the end line in gymnasiums where there's not a great deal of room. As this slide depicts, if the wall beyond the end line is closer than 6 feet, then no person can be between the free throw lane line extended as you see in the slide. They may be to the left or to the right of it. Should someone be there, the official will speak to the person and ask them to move. Hopefully cooperation will be there, but should there be difficulty in cooperation, then the referee of the crew is expected to speak to the athletic administrator or whoever's in charge of the gymnasium and ask for help. So in summary, if there is more than 6 feet of space, we don't need to be concerned about this. But if there's less than 6 feet, we do need to be concerned. Moving on, the timer's duties. The warning signal to begin the 15-second time to replace a disqualified player, an injured player, a blood issue, or for a player who otherwise has been asked to leave the game is now 15 seconds, a change from 20 seconds. This slide depicts that. Now that the coach has dealt with the injured player or the bleeding player, or the official has informed the coach that a player is directed to leave the game, then the official would go to the table and inform the timer that they should start the 15-second clock and simultaneously sound the whistle. Once again, this is a change from 20 seconds down to 15 seconds. Otherwise, the rule is the same as it has been in the past. Team members' equipment. T-shirts have always been legal, but T-shirts under the jersey must be the same color as the jersey. And in A and B here, you see that the T-shirts are a wrong color. A new part to the rule is there may be a logo on the T-shirt. Prior to this, logos were not permitted on the T-shirt. So in C, you will see, if you look close, there's a logo on each sleeve. So that's too many logos. Staying with equipment. Rules have changed, and now the undergarments, the tights, must be the same color, conform to all the colors like wristbands, headbands, T-shirts. Those are the requirements. Free throw provisions. This is not a new rule, but it's new in the book. As you are aware, players occupying the marked lane spaces along the free throw lane lines may enter the free throw lane upon the release of the ball, but they may not enter the free throw semicircle until the ball contacts the ring or otherwise the free throw ends. Here it depicts the player who has come into the free throw lane, but then his heel is beyond the free throw line. The free throw line is part of the free throw lane. To go beyond the free throw line puts the player into the free throw circle, and the ball is not at the ring yet, so this would be a violation. Those are the changes for this year. Moving on to the editorial changes. Regarding the braces at the knee, they can be worn if it's for medical purposes. There's no need to comply to the color requirements, such as the T-shirt, the tights, the headbands, the wristbands. And there may be braces showing. They will be legal. It's more inclusive than it was a year ago because the braces have changed a great deal. There's a variety. And this depicts the brace, and this brace would be legal. Having said that, the knee pad or the knee guard is not a brace, and if that is worn, like the leggings, the T-shirts, the wristbands, the headbands, the knee pad, the knee guard would have to comply with the color requirements. The free throw provisions, the players who are not on the free throw lane lines, they're behind the three-point arc and behind the free throw line extended, they may not break those marks until the ball contacts the ring. If they should break the mark, then this would be a violation, just like any violation pertaining to the free throw. And if the free throw were not successful, a substitute free throw would be administered. This slide depicts what we've just shared with you. In other words, it shows that the players must be behind the three-point arc and or the free throw line extended, and to break those planes would be a violation. And times are changing, and you can read for yourself here. Electronic cigarette or tobacco devices are illegal. Those are the edits. Moving on to the points of emphasis for this year. The granting of timeouts. In summary, there must be, when the ball is live and in play, there must be player control. That means that the player must be holding the ball in or on one or both hands, or be dribbling the ball. If there is no control, then a timeout that is requested cannot be granted by the official, as depicted here. The ball is on the floor. There's no control, so the official checks and sees that and simply ignores the request. Technical fouls. This is pretty much an administrative change to make things more clear. There are administrative fouls, such as rosters or changes in lineups and things of that nature. They are technical fouls. They're of the administrative nature, and they are charged to the team and the team totals, but they are not charged to the head coach, and the head coach does not lose his or her privileges to use the coaching box when it's an administrative technical foul. A player technical foul also counts toward the team totals, and of course that's not charged to the head coach. But bench technical fouls, or fouls like in pregame dunking or grasping the ring, the head coach is responsible, and these are fouls charged to the person involved, but also charged indirectly to the head coach, which means the head coach loses his or her privilege to use the coaching box from that time on. And here's an example, the coach going to make a change in the lineup. This would be an example of the administrative technicals, and to repeat, this would be charged to the team, but would not be charged to the head coach. Replacing disqualified or injured players. This goes back to the edits. There is after the player has been attended to, or after the disqualified player, the coach has been informed of that, then there's a change from 20 seconds down to 15 seconds. And beginning at that 15-second mark, simultaneously the timer will sound the horn, and then that player must be replaced before the 15 seconds expire, or of course that would be a technical foul as a penalty. Substitutions, and also the warning horn. The 15-second rule change is in effect here once again. When the injury is over, when the disqualification announcement is over, this depicts exactly what we have shared in the previous slides. The timer will start the clock and sound the horn simultaneously. Protecting the free thrower. Again, this was true last year, but this is just clarifying things and reminding the official that it must be enforced. If the person who enters the free throw lane line then enters the free throw semicircle, that is a violation. If the player should continue and commit contact against the free thrower, that would be a personal foul, provided all of this takes place before the ball contacts the ring. If the free throw is not successful, then there would be a substitute free throw where all the players would be removed from the free throw line and the substitute free throw would be taken. If we were not in the bonus, then the free throw team would get the ball out of bounds because of the foul on the end line. If we were into the bonus, then people would be lined up on the free throw lane lines, and the free throw, 1-on-1 or 2 or 3 free throws would be awarded to the free thrower and would play the result. A successful one would go out of bounds to the opponent, or an unsuccessful one would be regular rebound play. Another point of emphasis is stated as a post play, but really it applies to all players in both offense and defense. Pushing, use of the leg, the knee, the belly, the rear by the offensive or defensive player is a concern, and officials have been charged with paying attention to this. And again, you can read for yourself here. This just summarizes and shows an example of possibly the black player here pushing or the white player backing in. This concludes the 2016-17 rule changes, edits, and points of emphasis. From this point, we'd like to move on to some reminders and reviews of contact. We have learned through extensive charting over the years that there are approximately 60 whistles in a game, not counting timeouts, about items that are illegal. And we have learned that 65% of those whistles involve illegal contact. So we thought, as we shared with the officials, that we would share with the coaches the following. Officials are charged with monitoring the activity of all players and are constantly making rulings. The activity that goes on is either legal or it's illegal. When it's legal activity, it does not require that a whistle be sounded. However, a ruling has been made. It's been made that the play is legal. If it's illegal activity, then that does require the whistle and there is a penalty. There is no such thing as a no call or the official passing on a situation. The activity, as mentioned earlier, is either ruled to be legal and a whistle is not sounded, or it's ruled to be illegal and a whistle is sounded. The defensive player and the offensive player are equally responsible for legality or illegality of his or her contact. It isn't just about the defense. We learn when we study films that there are actually more contact created by the offensive players than there are the defensive players. Finishing, the contact rules and the principles are very much the same, whether it's a guarding situation, a rebounding situation, or verticality, attempt to block shots, or again in rebound situations. Each player has a rule-given right to any space on the court, provided that he or she arrives there first and does so legally. Once the player has legally obtained the space, he or she then may maintain that legal obtained space until they are beaten. And by rule, to beat the player who is in the maintenance mode of the opponent must get his or her head and both shoulders past the entire plane of the body of the defender or the rebounder or whatever. The body plane is whatever the obtainer, maintainer presents to the opponent. The plane of the front of the body, the entire front, or the player could be turned a bit at an angle, then the plane would be the side of the body, or conceivably the player would be back to, especially in rebounding, but to an extent could be almost back to guarding, that he or she is in a legal position because they've already legally obtained it, and to beat them, the opponent would have to get his or her head and both shoulders past the plane, not the thickness of the body, but just the plane. And so for an example, in the block charge situation, other situations too, which are player control or blocking, to contact the very last bit, 1/8 of an inch of the body plane presented, is just as illegal as contacting the opponent straight on, because it applies until they are beaten, until they have gotten past that frontal plane. As we reviewed contact in general, because it's such a integral part of any basketball game, we have a contact video we'd like to take a look at. We see the player in blue contacts the player in white. White was in legal guarding position. We'll look at it one more time. Watch to see that the defensive player is in legal guarding position, and blue number 4 creates the contact. And so we have a player control foul. You'll notice in this video the official made an inaccurate ruling. Let's watch again. The defender is legal, yet the official signaled a blocking foul. So here's a case of a mistake by the official, because the player had obtained legal guarding position, 2 feet on the floor initially, and then the official is entitled to move. He doesn't need to be set. May move laterally, may move backward. And we should have had a player control foul. Moving on, several items have been sent to all athletic administrators, all ADs. I will touch base briefly with those at this time. Incidentally, all of these and also the rule changes will be summarized in a handout which will be provided by your athletic administrator after the clinic that you're viewing. These things have been made available to all athletic administrators. Timers, instruction cards, and notes. Please attach a copy of these to the score and timers table, and additionally provide a copy to the timers and the scorers so that they can have it for home study and review on their own, especially preseason. Additionally, 2 or 3 years ago, because of concerns about the announcers turning out to be more broadcasters than just announcers, the NFHS by rules have guidelines for announcers. Again, it's hoped that the AD will provide the announcer with this and we'll have a review session with them. An example is the announcers are not to announce 1 minute to play, because that, if it gets into the game, it affects the games. It's up to the coaches and the players to know what time is on the clock or the number of fouls a player or a team has. And finally, as I mentioned, there will be a set of main clinic notes that the ADs have that will be made available to everybody. Some reminders to specifically the athletic administrators and directors. The official scorer must wear a black and white vertically striped garment. That's by rule. Coaching boxes by rule shall be in place prior to a game beginning. You can refer to Rule 1, Section 13, Article 2 in the rules book for those dimensions if you're not aware of them. There must be an X locating where the scorer is seated. Safety concerns, items such as, but not limited to, length of fingernails and various hairstyles that could be dangerous or could be bothering opponents. Hair lengths below the top of the uniform jersey number can bother or affect the play of opponents, such as getting in their eyes. And we've actually had concerns expressed by ADs representing their coaches, and quite a few during the years. They can also at times make it difficult to identify the players' numbers. So hopefully the head coach will share these things with their players and have them be as reasonable as possible. Extra periods or overtimes. To make this clear, The head coach and captains are required to meet with the referee. At this meeting, rules regarding the extra period or periods are briefly reviewed. Don't worry about the time to meet with your players. The 1-minute intermission does not begin until after this meeting is ended. So then the referee will go to the timer and say, set the clock for 1 minute, sound the warning horn at the 15-second mark, and sound the ending when the last 15 seconds expire. Should questions arise during the season, feel free to contact my office. The contact information will be in the clinic notes. And an overall best wish for an enjoyable and successful season. And thank you for listening.